this morning, search efforts continue for people missing in historic flooding in western North Carolina. We know more than 60 people are unaccounted for after the devastation from Helene. At least 10 people have died here in North Carolina as a result of the storm. Across the southeast, the death toll is at least 65. More than 500,000 homes and businesses in western North Carolina are still without power. And about 400 roads, including many major highways, remain closed because of the damage from the storm. Search and rescue crews in Asheville and Buncombe County have been working around the clock. Now, they have conducted at least 150 swift water rescues. According to the Sheriff's Department, they continue to recover bodies from the flooding and landslides. Teams are going door to door, in some cases conducting welfare checks. Right now, they are still waiting to get food and water supplies. They are in the process of setting up locations to distribute supplies once they become available. In Asheville, historic flooding from Helene left behind devastating damage, as you can see here. This is drone footage of Biltmore Village, where you can see the streets have turned into rivers. WRAL's Willie Daniely talked with people there who are looking toward recovery.
This is a look at the catastrophic damage in Asheville caused by Hurricane Helene. People who live here say the place looks unrecognizable. Historic buildings destroyed, lives lost, fallen trees taking down power lines and covering nearly every road.
Trees all across all the roads, every house had trees leaning against them. It was terrible.
In the historic district, storefronts ripped open, cars pushed into the street by floodwater. WRAL was there as some people began looting stores damaged by the storm. Taking it all in is a devastating moment for many. Mark Liam is the general manager of the Grand Bohemian. He watched the storm pass and is dealing with the damage.
But for those of us that were here, watching the torrential rapids racing past the hotel for about a day and a half, what we see now is basically what we thought we'd see. It's pretty horrific.
Once the storm went through, people in the area were shocked to see what waited for them outside.
I felt like I had been kind of thrown into a movie, just to see my hometown just decimated, to see trees down. I just never thought this would ever happen in a place like Asheville.
Families are still without running water, electricity, or cell phone service. This is the line outside of the Publix on Hendersonville Road, where people came for food and free Wi-Fi.
We stocked up on bread for peanut butter sandwiches. We've got canned goods and mayonnaise, of course, and then I got some shelf-stable some summer sausage and cheese, the little, laughing cow, because single serve, no refrigerator.
Residents tell me this is a devastating event, and they believe it will be weeks to months before things return to normal. In Asheville, Willie Daniely, WRAL News.
Now, the village of Chimney Rock on the Broad River here southeast of Asheville is destroyed after the impact of Helene. Video from high above the village shows the entire downtown area swept away by floodwaters. That includes many homes and businesses in the community. Rutherford County Emergency Management says its crews have rescued more than 100 people. And south of Asheville, Hendersonville is also facing tragic flooding. Parking lots are covered in feet of water and roads are completely washed out this morning. Henderson County officials have issued a do not drive alert to allow space on the road for emergency and utility crews. The NCDOT says I-40 is impassable in multiple locations in western North Carolina. The highway is closed from Asheville to Knoxville, Tennessee. These images from DOT show exactly why. This is a part of I-40 near the Tennessee state line that has been washed out by flooding. The department also adds that all roads in western North Carolina should be considered closed. In Rocky Mount, people are working to clean up the damage after that powerful EF3 tornado brought on by Helene completely devastated the town. We're talking about 15 people were hurt, 4 seriously injured. Debris was left scattered for miles. A state of emergency remains in effect this morning. WRAL's Eric Miller has this story.
This here behind me was a medical supply store, and if you take a look down here on the ground, you can see pieces of brick and chunks of wood that were literally ripped out of the building by this tornado, alongside pieces of medical equipment like this crutch here. All of this is friends, neighbors, community members trying to help this city get back on its feet. This home security video shows much more than rain falling on David Gardner's front yard Friday on Sandtrap Drive.
Yeah, we found clothes, we found laptop batteries, we found all kinds of things.
Things like these humidifier cups.
Just scattered out throughout the backyard and on the golf course. They're kind of everywhere.
Everywhere, but coming from right here. Respiracare Medical Supply, which sits nearly a mile from Gardner's home and was completely demolished by the tornado.
I have 2 kids and we huddled in the bathroom just to kind of ride it out.
That same building-shaking, heartbreaking storm also ripped apart Hing Ta Restaurant.
I'm hoping that they'll rebuild and we can get back together.
Off camera, the owners told us they're not giving up on this business, but still haven't been allowed inside to survey the damage and decide what their next steps are.
Go help yourself and take everything out of the trunk.
Bobby and Denise Borowski weren't waiting for any all clear. They delivered cookies and pallets of water to first responders at the scene.
It's just too close to home. God was here.
A piece of relief as this part of Rocky Mount pieces itself back together. In Rocky Mount, Eric Miller, WRAL News.
This morning, we will get an update on the recovery efforts in western North Carolina and across the state. Local leaders in Asheville and Buncombe County will give us a news conference following this newscast at 10 a.m. And this afternoon at 12:30, Governor Roy Cooper will speak at a news conference about the statewide efforts. You can watch both of these briefings right here on WRAL, WRAL.com, and WRAL News Plus. And our coverage of the aftermath of Helene, specifically in the western part of the state, continues. WRAL's Brett Neese and Eric Miller will bring us reports later today from Asheville. We're also working to send crews to other areas, including Boone and Blowing Rock. Welcome back. As you're taking a live look in Wilson this morning at the Whirligig Park, things are looking a bit cloudy out there. We've had some fog across the viewing area, but those patches are clearing out throughout the day. We'll get another check in the forecast from Chris Michaels in just a bit. The town of Chimney Rock near Lake Lure, North Carolina is underwater and several roads have collapsed in the wake of Helene. Homes and businesses on the banks of the Broad River have been washed out. Chimney Rock State Park is closed until further notice, and park officials say they are not even able to access the area to assess the damage. Governor Roy Cooper says the devastation in western North Carolina is unlike anything they've ever seen. WRAL's Carly Haynes had a chance to speak with Cooper one-on-one about what the state is doing to help.
For so many in western North Carolina, no food, no water, and no access to the rest of the world.
And there's a lot of people that are they can't find anybody.
What limited cell service Jamie Johnson found in Banner Elk, she used to call us to ask for help.
Can they please get us communication? Can they, even if they have to drop food in, we need machines that can clear roads, because the roads, there's just so almost every road is impassable.
We took that to the governor. What is North Carolina doing to supply those necessities to people?
Right now we are sending supplies via air. We're also finding routes to get supplies in. The Department of Transportation is helping emergency vehicles find routes to get around the devastation of the roads.
Landslides slashed fibers and cables. The state is pushing these cell companies to get towers back up while enforcements are brought in. Rivers are still rising from rainwater. At least 10 people have already died.
We have search and rescue teams from all over the country who are in North Carolina helping to find people like that, to help get them to safety. That is our priority right now, to save lives.
People living in western counties stranded in their own homes. Now they're pleading for people to pay attention.
It's absolutely awful.
And that was WRAL's Carly Haynes reporting. Emergency shelters are starting to open up, but people are struggling to get to them because of all the closed roads. Now take a look at this video. A woman named Callie from Asheville shared this with us. You can see her home in the middle of what looks like a dirty river. The good news here, she says her and her family are safe today. And new video from Tampa, Florida shows the widespread destruction from Helene in that area. The storm produced a record-breaking 7-foot storm surge there. Authorities say at least 11 people died in Tampa Bay region there. The local sheriff says they were all in a mandatory evacuation zones. Our coverage of Helene's impact continues on WRAL.com and in the WRAL News app. We have the latest information county by county for those impacted in western North Carolina and the latest updates on officials and from officials on the recovery from this storm.